Hey, Tyler, welcome to the show. It's a way of getting started. Give some background on yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Tyler Robertson. I am the CEO and founder of a company called Diesel Laptops. We're a little more than 5 years old. I went from my garage and dining room table to over 170 employees and over 40 million in revenue, and we did it without taking a bunch of growth capital. Just kind of bootstrapped the whole thing. So it's been a crazy ride, and we're in the B2B space of selling repair solutions to people that are trying to fix commercial trucks and off-highway equipment.
Wow. How'd you get interested in this?
Yeah, so I've been around truck dealerships my whole life. And, when you work inside a truck dealership, they're just like car dealerships, right? But people come in with trucks, and it's a little bit different because you can't go rent a truck easily if it breaks down. So you have a little more sense of urgency to get it out. And people never want to actually have to come see you because it's a pain, right? They have a load on their truck, they have all these things. And I just started realizing people wanted to buy their own tools to do their own diagnostics and find their own information. And traditionally, that stuff's not available to the general public. So I kind of saw an opportunity there just being in the industry. And I'm like, man, I think we can solve some problems over here and try to make some money.
So they basically can diagnose what's wrong with the truck themselves?
Yeah, so that's where it started with. I was a service manager, and
Yeah.
people would bring trucks in. They'd say, "Hey, my check engine light's on. What do I do?" I'd walk out there, or my foreman we'd hook a computer up, and we'd say, "Oh, it's serious, leave it here." Or we'd say, "It's not that big a deal. Put some
Come
coolant in
back.
it, bring it back."
Yeah.
And then they'd perpetually say, "Well, how do I buy that tool?" And you'd say, well, "No, you can't have this tool. That's why you got to pay me
Magic.
money." Yeah, that's magic. That's why you pay me $125 an hour so I can tell you these things.
You can't
right?
just plug it in.
Yeah, yeah. So I did either a really good job or a really bad job running a service department. And they said, "Tyler, we want to move you over to the parts department." So parts department, same building, same company, different direct report and a different mentality. In the parts department, they said, "Man, if you can mark up something and make margin, sell it. We don't care if it's a cheeseburger, a telephone, or a truck part. Go for it." So of course, people would walk in the parts department saying, "I want a diagnostic tool like your shop has." And we'd say, "Sure, I can sell that to you," because that was the mentality there. And, you ran into the problem though, is you're now selling complicated computerized diagnostic tools to people that are shop owners or they own a trucking company. I mean, they're in their mid 50s traditionally. They know how to run trucks and fix trucks. They know how to do diagnostic tools and pair Bluetooth and firmware updates and all these things. So then I became the guy that was kind of stuck doing tech support as I was trying to be a parts manager.
Yeah.
And, you need multiple pieces. You need a laptop, you need a software, you need the interface that goes between the truck and the thing. And we were selling all the pieces. And I went to my manager, my direct report. I'm like, "I'll tell you what if I buy like two of the pieces from you? I'll buy one of the other pieces. It's like a laptop. I'll buy that and I'll install them on the side at home. And then I'll resell it back to you and you guys can mark it up. And now you have a tool ready to go out of the box and it's not going to take any of my time and we'll make more margin." And he's like, "Yeah, let's do it." And my own company became my very first customer and it just kind of took off from there.
Wow. What was that first year like?
Yeah. So, I mean, the first year, this is pre-kids and everything. And, I'm selling a little bit of stuff. And, I was like, well, if I'm selling my own company, why don't I put one on eBay? Why don't I go sell one on eBay as well? So I put one on eBay and it sold in like 2 days. I'm like, and I raised the price and it sold again right away. And I'm like, I think I'm onto something here.
Yeah.
So it got to the point the year before I quit my job, I was actually doing about 1.2 million a year.
Wow.
Just selling diagnostic tools. And my own company I worked for was my biggest client. And then I had my thing going on eBay and I threw up a really junky website and I was starting to get a couple sales there. So yeah, before I quit and took the leap, it was nice. I had 1.2 million in sales, but the part that sucked is I was literally working like 18 hours a day. I had a 100,000 plus job at this place. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I'm working basically till midnight every night. My wife's just like, this is
Loving it.
you
Yeah.
can't do both. Yeah, this is not working out for us. So I'm like, all right. So
then you
yeah.
went out on your own. That must have been
Yeah.
difficult because did you have any kind of business background or?
I mean, my family owned businesses. They were in the concrete industry. It's like that family business. Family businesses, they usually get so big and then it's dysfunctional. It's family, right? They have a hard time making it to like a real
Can't get
business.
along.
Yeah, they can't get along and fighting, and people trip over. They fight over pennies while they're tripping over dollar bills. That whole thing. And then I worked for a more professional environment. So I got a chance. I basically tell people, look, I worked 10 years for somebody else and I got 10 years of paid training. For me, it was better than any business school you could have gone to. I learned so much those 10 years. And I tell people today, there's no way I could do today and the things we're doing today without that 10 years of experience. And I had kind of that background with my family being a family owned business. You learn about payroll and taxes and unions and all these fun things when you're, in grade school, essentially, because your dad's talking about them all the time.
Yeah, you do have that back, the quarterly statements, the pay stubs, what to look for when you hire people. Who was your first hire? What role?
Oh yeah. So it's so funny story here. So I'm sitting there, I'm at home, I'm doing everything, right? I'm full-time, I'm tech support, I'm sales, I'm, making the tools, I'm shipping them, I'm going to the UPS, I'm doing it all, right? I'm like, man, this is not working. And I'm like, I need some help. I just need someone to like pack and ship stuff all day long. And I'm in my house and in my garage. I'm like a little suburbia. And my wife goes to a book club in the neighborhood. And I'm telling my wife, I need to get some help here. She's like, oh, well, one of the people I go to book club here, her son is graduated high school and he's working at like the local pizza place and he's going to community college. He's not really liking it. He's kind of looking for something to do. So I'm like, all right, let's hire him. And his name's Riley. And Riley, he never showed up on time that first 3 months, right? He lives like 4 houses down. Like there's no excuse.
It's the commute.
It's the commute. It's horrible. I had to walk 50 feet. So, short story is Riley came in, 18, 19-year-old kid, never been out on a life on his own. He has no idea. He's, living with his parents. But today he's our director of operations and he is like the go-to guy over here. It was like a switch flipped like 6 months into it. And I still remember I was walking in my neighborhood and Riley's mom like rolls up and it's like, oh, how's Riley doing? I'm like, oh, he's doing great and everything. But I'm like, she's like, well, I really wish he'd get like a real job. I'm like, well, it's kind of real to me, this whole thing. Like, I think I got something here. And, now I look at him, I'm like, man, now he's in his, was he 20, 22, 23 and he's making great money. He's a saver. I mean, that kid's literally gonna be a millionaire before long, just because he's doing all the right things in life. He's succeeding. He's learning about processes. He's learning about all the ways business should work. I'm like, you look at young people like that. I'm like, man, I wish I had that opportunity at that age. Cause
that is crazy. When I talk to parents, the first thing college, second thing is big company. And it's like, no, go find somebody who's got, the epicenter of a business that could turn into something.
Well, and I'll even rail on college here a little bit. In our industry, I tell you, there's 3 positions we're trying to hire for. Software development, I'm trying to hire salespeople, and I'm trying to hire diesel technicians to help manage our call center. All 3 of those positions make more than 6 figures a year.
Right.
And we struggle to find all of them because, so many people go to college and spend a bunch of money and get some, liberal arts degree or art history or, whatever it is. And it's a hard path. And a lot of kids don't graduate college. They end up being in debt and coming out of it in a worse spot when we came into it.
Yeah. I mean, if you have the time and the money, it's one thing, but a lot of people don't have the time and the money.
So,
and
yeah,
look at Riley. He learned more there than any 4-year degree would ever give him.
Yeah. So even talking about sales, my top salespeople, they knew nothing about our industry before we got them in and taught them what they need to know about selling a truck diagnostic tool. Like we're in a niche inside of a niche. And I can tell you, I have salespeople making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're not traveling. They're sitting in their house, but they are really smart people that really know what to do and how to do things. So there's a ton of potential out there outside college.
So how did you scale it from the kind of the kitchen table, eBay, you and Riley?
Yeah.
Did you get on the web and did you do marketing and?
Yeah. So our industry, we're in the trucking and transportation industry. This thing still runs like it's 1970, right? Like phone calls and relationships and all these things.
Not on Twitter.
Yeah. What's that? What's a tweet? Yeah. So we tried it the way everybody else did. I mean, we're selling these $10,000 diagnostic tools. So the way it's worked in our industry forever is you have salespeople and usually manufacturer reps or whatever they are. Yeah. And they're out there in the field going, knocking on doors of places that fix trucks and equipment. And they're literally sitting on site doing demos and showing people how these things work. And then they go in the back office, they talk to the guy and maybe they buy it, maybe they don't. and they just spend a whole day talking to one person, maybe two if they're lucky.
Yeah.
And we tried that. And I had a great sales manager that helped me get this thing going. His name's William Ward. And he came in, he was in the industry, didn't know anything about diagnostics. I taught him that. And he came to me one day, he goes, Tyler, he goes, this sucks. He goes, I'm selling 5 to 7 units a month. I'm driving all over the place. I'm not talking to enough people. I'm not casting a big enough net. I got a better way. And I'm like, okay, what's your better way? He goes, well, first of all, you're going to take my demo machine away from me. I don't actually want to show anybody the tool anymore. And I don't want to travel, and I don't want to do that anymore either. I'm like, okay, that's all we got. So what are we going to do instead? And he's like, I'll tell you what, we got customers that absolutely love our products. Let's put together a great list of references. He goes, our YouTube channel today, we sell diagnostic tools, and our YouTube channel has 8 million views. Wow. Right. So he's like, you know what, just go up there and do a ton of videos, and they don't need to be fancy. Just hold your phone there and just show people how it works and how it solves the problem. Yeah. And when they want to say, how well does it work on a XYZ truck, instead of us having to be there, be like, dude, here's a video. We're going to show you exactly what it does. And he goes, Tyler, let's put a 30-day money back guarantee on it. Yeah. Nobody does that in our industry. But if we do those things, people are going to buy this tool. They're going to love the tool. And I don't think that many are going to get returned to us. So we did that. And all of a sudden he went from selling 5 units a month to selling 20 units a month. And he wasn't traveling and wasn't doing these things. So he just 4X'd his, what he can sell a month. And then he said, I'm going to bring another sales rep on, and we're going to try it there as well. And we brought a sales rep that actually knew diagnostic tools, and he just killed it. He goes, okay, I can do it. This guy, experienced guy, can do it. But now let's do it with someone that knows nothing at all about our industry and nothing at all about this. So my sister-in-law was working she was basically managing a restaurant, and she wasn't happy. You work long hours, you work weekends, you work nights, all those things. And, she wanted to start a family and all that. So I committed, like, hey, Jess, why don't you just come here? We're going to teach you how to sell. We're going to teach you the products, and let's see what you can do. And you know what? After 3 months, she was selling 20 units a month. And from that point on, we're like, you know what? Now we got something scalable. We don't need to travel. We don't need to go anywhere. We can ramp this thing up much faster than everyone else is doing in our industry. So that's kind of how the scale got brought up, was flipping the sales strategy and just saying, we're going to try this a different way. And that didn't happen overnight. It took us months of talking about the strategy and how we're going to do this. And, it's like, better, is it not? And all those things. So it took some time, but at the end of the day, it's worked out pretty well for us.
Yeah, because YouTube is really that how-to, and I think when something breaks, that's where I go.
It's where I go too, right? I needed the other day I needed to fix something in my car. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. So I went on there and I'm like, a video, and it walked me through it. I'm like, wow, that was remarkably easy. So it's crazy today, because today we rarely show these expensive diagnostic tool demos to customers. Yeah, because they've watched so many videos. They've heard about us. They've had people refer us, and they just say, you know what, I need one of those things. And it blows my mind that people don't even need to look at it anymore, but that's the level we got it to. And again, it took a long time to get there, but now that we're there, it's a great place to be. And we have existing competitors that have been in this market for years, decades. And, COVID hit, they're trying to figure out how they go visit customers and show them tools. And we're just like, this didn't even slow us down one bit.
Yeah, that can work when you're huge, like Snap-on tools or something. You got the truck, you drive in, it's an event. Right?
It is. And that's the crazy thing with us, is we're competing against, like you mentioned, one of them, Snap-on, multi-billion-dollar corporation. Right. Bosch, multi-billion-dollar national company. Those are some of the people we compete with all day long. And I love competing against those guys, because that guy on that tool truck, he's selling a screwdriver set, and now he's trying to sell a 10,000 diagnostic tool. He's got no idea, right? And it's a totally different conversation when you call us. We're the experts. We can answer all your questions. We walk through it. We're just far more educated than they are. So in our view, those expensive B2B things like that, they just don't work in a traditional manufacturer, distributor, dealer model. It just works in a little bit different manner. And people want a confidence when they buy something. That's really what it comes down to. And we're exuding confidence when we talk to customers.
Yeah, you're specialists. Right. And it's very different than, selling a ratchet to selling a diagnostic tool.
Yeah. I'd have no idea. We do not do good selling inexpensive commodity goods. Like, that is not our niche at all. We have this new tool coming out, and it's this little Bluetooth tool. It's $250. I'm like, we are not geared up for that one bit. We need to go find a great distribution partner and partner up with them and help solve their problems at the same time. And, we've kind of learned, and we've tried to find people to resell our products. We get people all the time saying, hey, we want to sell your stuff. We have tried it and tried it and tried it. And they don't understand it. They overpromise it. They underdeliver, the exact opposite of what we're trying to accomplish here. And we just totally abandoned the model, trying to get people to sell our top end stuff.
So I heard a couple of epiphanies there. The YouTube, the sales model, remote. What else has been some of the epiphanies that you've learned?
So here's the thing. Let's just talk about sales targeting, right? Marketing targeting. Yep. So at the end of the day, I think what happens in our industry is everybody else that we compete with, they're trying to target the decision maker, the guy that's behind a desk somewhere with the checkbook. That's who they do traditional what you see. You see them in magazines, you see them on, even some people got them on billboards. They're just doing all the traditional stuff. And we found that was the worst way to go target our customer base, because they're not the ones with the problems.
Right.
The ones with the problems are their employees.
Yeah.
So we said, man, now let's not go target the shop owner. Let's go target the diesel technicians, and let's make sure we put some good, videos, footage, whatever it is, in front of them. And let's get them engaged, because when they go to their boss and say, I need this, that's not a cold call anymore. That's a customer calling us saying, my technician's staring at this thing, or he came from another shop and has one. He tells me I need one, so I need to buy one. And it simplifies the sales process tremendously.
And how do you find them? Is it anything other than YouTube?
Yeah. So Facebook marketing is a great one, because you can get very specific on job titles and geographic regions and all those things. And the other kind of unique thing we did is we always want more sales leads, right? Like sales guys, like, give me more leads. And we want to build our brand at the same time. So we said, okay, what's another way to do this? And again, we started with the guy that's having the problem. So the guy that's having the problem needs things. He needs a diagnostic tool, and maybe he has a tool and it shows him what the fault code is, but now he needs to know how to fix it. And those are usually two different things. So we had already developed a database of every fault code that exists for every commercial truck ever made, and we tell you how to fix it. Well, we give it away for free to sell the tool. It makes our tool more valuable. So we said, well, what if we turn that into a freemium model mobile app and website? And what if on there people could get that quick repair information for free, but they want the really good stuff, they'd have to pay for it. And all of a sudden, you have 50,000 users that got on a platform, and every single one of those people is someone that has a fault code, that has a problem they're trying to fix. So yeah, we're generating revenue off of the premium content, but more importantly, we're running banner ads on there. We're getting your name, your email, your phone number. We're running lookalike audiences on social media. We're email marketing you. And all of a sudden you're like, man, I have a whole platform here. And so that worked great. And we said, what else could we do? So we just started developing a lot of freemium content. And we built our own advertising network on top of all these websites and desktop apps and mobile apps and all these things. So today we have our own private ad network that delivers over 250 million ad views to people exactly in our niche. And now so we were like most companies, we're spending 6 figures a month on Google that were our size. And now we spend like 10, and I get the same number of leads at a lot more effective cost rate. So I think for us, it's always, there's a better way to usually do something. And if you think about it and you're not afraid to view the long term in order for the short term, because people looked at us like we were crazy. Like, man, you charge $20 a month for that repair information. You could charge 200. I'm like, I could. Or I could go build my company and just completely own and dominate this space over the next 10 years. So I'm going to pick that path instead of the short one today.
So now you're almost a platform.
We're a platform. Yeah. So now we built all these great tools. We built things around them. And now the migration of the company is, man, these things are so great. We don't need to give them away. We can actually put them off on their own thing and develop our own platform for those things and go get users on them. And now we start connecting them all together, which is the really cool thing, because I mentioned earlier, our industry operates the same way it did 50 years ago. So today, if you're working on a truck and you have a fault code or you notice something broken, you don't know what part number you need to buy. You can't look it up yourself. You have to pick up the phone, call your dealer, give them the VIN number, and then they tell you the part number, right? And then, well, maybe they don't have it in stock. Maybe it's too expensive. Maybe I want an aftermarket, cheaper alternative. So what we're doing here is I've built parts information, I've built repair information, and now we're putting them together. So now we're going to tell people, look, you can go from a fault code to the part number you need to buy, and you can instantly cross-reference it to aftermarket alternatives. And we're not going to charge you for any of that, because eventually I'm going to put a buy it now button right there, and I'm going to figure out a way to connect buyers and sellers together in a $34 billion industry. So when you talk about being a platform, it's always the long game, not the short one.
And how much of this is in-house versus out that you outsource, like the Google AdWords and stuff? Have you got this in-house, or you use an agency? Or
yeah, so my journey with Google AdWords was I was doing it myself, kind of brought someone in. We didn't really know what the heck we were doing, right? We're just throwing more money at it. So we brought a company in, and we went through a couple before we found the right one that really worked with us and understood us. We kind of went with a smaller group, not one of these big behemoth ones. Yeah. So they really still kind of manage the Google pay-per-click and give us the reports. We've said, man, what we spend still, we could probably, because he does, they do some landing pages, they do some Facebook stuff. But at the end of the day, we realized, though, we need to be the ones creating those content for those pages, because they don't have a freaking clue what a DPF regen is on a diagnostic tool. We know that's important. If we can't have them create content, let's help them create the content, and let's let them build the architecture there to drive the views to our platforms. So we have a pretty big in-house marketing team. I mean, we're 170 employees, and there's really 8 people that work in marketing here. So we're all in, and we do the online stuff. We don't do a lot of the traditional, stuff that everyone else does in our space.
And what do you think differentiates you? Because you seem a little, kind of like the classic entrepreneur that came out of an entrepreneurial family, but you've kind of grown well beyond kind of the family type size business.
Yeah. I give my dad a hard time. Like, man, Dad, it took you guys 3 generations to get to $20 million. And I did that in 3 years. Right. So we always get that going with my dad. I think what differentiates us is a couple things. One, I can afford to focus on the long term. We're profitable in our tool business. We do really well. And I always try to view it really through the long-term lens. I don't need revenue and EBITDA today. That's not important to me. It's important for me to reinvest that money and look through the long-term lens. So I think a lot of times when people take money early in their company, there's that pressure on them immediately to kind of start throwing some money to the bottom line. And when you have no debt and you own your company, you can afford not to do those things. It changes how you grow your company, because you can look through it through the long-term lens instead of the short-term lens. And I think the other thing with us is we're always go about it different than everybody else. So the way we go about it is, how do we solve that guy's problem that's trying to fix something? And we never really go into it saying, how much money do we need to make? We go into it, let's just solve his problem. We'll back into the money later. But let's just go solve that problem, because we know if we do that, the money will follow, the phone calls will follow, and people will understand what we're doing. So I think, look at things a little bit differently. And we just kind of always have that mindset, man, we can be a little bit better. It doesn't matter what we're doing internally, externally, processes, people, all those things. Let's just keep being a little bit better every week, and we're going to keep this thing going hard.
And how about that software switch? Because I love the idea of the app that kind of drives product sales that now builds a platform.
Yeah. It's, it took us a while to come together, and we're a bunch of truck guys. I came from a truck dealership. I was a parts and service manager, right? What do I know about building mobile apps? So we're going for this transformation of our company, saying, yeah, we were a retailer, but now we're going to transform ourselves into being this digital software development company. And that's a hard transition to make, right? It's really hard, but I'll say this. I think it's easier than a software company trying to figure out our business and our market. We can talk the talk. We know it. We've worked it. I think I have an easier path. We'll see if we're right or not, but we made mistakes. I mean, we built the fault code thing by itself. We built labor time guides by themselves. We built wiring diagrams by themselves. None of them use the same user logins. Now users had multiple websites, multiple things. We're like, okay, this is my own employees. My wife was confused, and I'm trying to explain what we have to her, So we said, let's just make one platform that has it all, and let's consolidate all those things. So we just launched that last week. And again, it clarifies the message. And I think customers really understand it now. And now they're like, oh, okay. Now I get the direction you guys are going. And it is absolutely crazy now that we've done these things. There was a point a couple of months ago, I literally had the CEOs of companies with $1 billion plus revenue I had 3 of them within 2 weeks walk through our doors, come meet with us to talk to us about doing some potential stuff together. And there was no way I was getting those meetings 2 or 3 years ago. And I think we're just in a different spot now as a company. And I think we're still making all the right strategic decisions.
And on the software side, did you hire and do that in-house, or did you outsource it?
Yeah, I think it started like a lot of companies. It was just small little projects here and there, do this bit, do that bit. And that's kind of what got us in trouble. We didn't have the good technical leadership. So yeah, we started bringing it all in-house now. So we're more about 80% in-house, 20% out of house. The part we're struggling with is I'm in Columbia, South Carolina. We're not New York City. We're not California. Yeah, exactly. So now we're like, okay, we need to hire a lot more. How are we going to do this? And, it's becoming a lot more clear on how we should be structured, who we should have in what seats, and how these things need to work together. And we do things as a company. I mean, as you grow, project management, what's that? Like, we never had to deal with that before. It's like, here's my idea, go build it. And now it's like, I got a marketing team, I got a production team, tech support, engineering, accounting. We need to plan this thing much better than we've just been shooting from the hip. And I think that's just the transition that entrepreneurial companies go through to turn into professionally managed companies. They got to go through that change. And it's definitely one of the hardest things we've done.
And how did you build out your organization and your skill set? Because you went from solopreneur to now huge company.
Yeah. I mean, building it out, there got to be a point where, you just keep adding people and throwing bodies at it. Right. And it got to the point where we had about 80 employees and everyone's going in 1,000 directions. No one's talking. I have a lot of cool stuff I think I built. And I'm looking at it. I'm like, man, I don't have anybody here that can like take what I built and bring it to market and turn this into a revenue generating thing. I'm not that guy. I got great ideas. I'm not the guy to go do that. So I got really fortunate. I thought in my head, man, who do I know that knows our space and can do this job? And 2 names came to my head. And the first guy I called, he's in his mid 40s. He's retired. His wife's a doctor. He's a stay-at-home dad. And I worked for him 10 years. I'm like, let me just tell you my problem here. And he's like, man, I'm in the best shape of my life. I love what I do. Like, I don't want to work. I'm like, yeah, please just come sit with me. And he lives about an hour and a half away. So he came there and he coming back the next day. He's like, I'm in. He goes, I see what you're building there. He goes, I think Tyler, that you can bring this thing to the moon. I want to be involved with it. And he came in, he's a real strategic guy, right? He's like, he came in quickly. He's like, dude, you need a VP of sales. You need a VP of HR. We got to figure out, we can't just keep throwing bodies at things. We got to figure out what it actually costs us to do stuff around here. Like, we need to fix this. And I'm like, all right, I focus on sales and marketing. And I said, screw it to the rest. It's time to go do this stuff. And we immediately got a VP of HR, and we brought a guy in. He worked at Amazon. He worked at Kia when they were building, new manufacturing plants. He's been there, done that. Brought a great guy in, and through that, we just got some great talent to be able to keep backfilling and growing the organization.
Cool. And for the listeners, are you looking for any people right now?
We are always hiring. So yeah, if you go to diesellaptops.com, you can find the careers button. At this point, I mean, even during COVID, we hired over 35 people during COVID, and we hired people all around the United States. We were already kind of dispersed a little bit. We do have our company headquarters with about 120 people, but besides that, they're all over the place. We'll take great talent wherever we can find it. And like I said, I think we pay pretty well based on the market.
Cool. And where can people follow you?
Yeah, so just go on LinkedIn and just search for Tyler Robertson or Tyler Diesel. I'm sure I'll pop up there and everything. And it's just been great here to be able to spend some time with you and tell our story a little bit.